If you've ever witnessed a hole-in-one live, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, folks, and welcome back to another episode of Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook. No, unfortunately, it wasn't my hole-in-one, but I got paired with a random for my group yesterday, and he hit one, and it was awesome. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. I hope that you had a wonderful weekend. We're back for another big week. It is NVDA week. It's also a truncated week for our show here as we start our summer vacations, but we're going to get you all set up for the week, and we're going to have a whole bunch of news that took place over the weekend. I have a special guest for you here today on options education. So for those of you that are looking maybe to get a little bit more involved, today is your day. We got a special guest for that. Great to see a whole bunch of returning faces. Benzinga's Pre-Market Playbook, the Monday edition for May 18th, 2026, begins right now. Good morning and welcome back, folks. I hope that you all had a wonderful weekend. I'm sorry, Pistons fans. It just did not show up last night. But otherwise, we're back for another big market week here. And as mentioned in the opener there, NVIDIA is coming. Also the likes of Walmart and Target. So should be a pretty big week for earnings. We're going to get you broken down with all of the news, get you ready for your trading day. But first, let's welcome everybody back. Peter is first here today. Peter, good morning. Cool and rainy today. It's going to be hot and rainy here in Chicago. Chicago's summer weather, I think, officially has arrived. Only took till May. Robert, good morning. Welcome back. Janie, good morning. Welcome back. Good to see you again. Crispy Biscuit, good morning. It's good to see you as always. Yes, that girl, good morning. Welcome back. Francis, good morning. Welcome back. Zach McCracken, good morning. Welcome back. Cad Monkey, good morning. Solitary Soldier, good morning. Derek, it's great to see you again. Good morning. And Zach, that's the big news here. Zach mentioning that the U.S. proposes a temporary waiver on the Iran oil sanctions. That's why we got a pop here in the pre-market. It was also matched by a pull in oil. Oil was up a couple of percent here this morning. It's now pulled back to unchanged. Zach hit the key there is that it's temporary. Iran saying that they want it as permanent. The waiver here, very clearly only temporary. So it looks like that's being done for some more negotiations, but we're getting a brief pop there. We'll see if it lasts. Built to Win, good morning, welcome back. Kelly, good morning, welcome back. Buffalo by Bicycle, welcome back. Buffalo by Bicycle with an oddly specific prediction here. The Sabres lose in overtime after a no-goal call and the fake French Canadians advance. Okay, well, the Canadians are tough. They've been tough, and there's nothing fake about the French Canadians that live up in Montreal. But we'll see how the game ends up shaking out. Hopefully, it's not on a controversial call. Hopefully, the boys decide which team wins there. Neville, good morning. Welcome back. G-Cord, good morning. Welcome back. Kelly, good morning. Welcome back. Kelly says, we don't hear the word cool in our forecast until October. It sounds about right. We're going to get that here in Chicago. Can't remember what part of the country you live in, Kelly, but glad summer is back. Lol. Producer, good morning. Thanks for all you do, and I hope you enjoy your vacation as well. Kelly says, if you hit the like button, it's good luck. And that's true, by the way. True facts right there. So if you want some extra luck today, be sure to hit the like. If you want some additional luck today, I suggest that you log in under your friends' YouTube accounts and maybe your family members' YouTube accounts and also hit the like button, because if you do that, you build up a lot of that luck. Linda, good morning. Akonda Williams, good morning. Welcome back. Astro Kev, good morning. Austin, good morning. Carlos, good morning. Liam, good morning. Cam, good morning. Johnny, good morning. You want to talk about Tesla? We can take a look at Tesla. Tesla actually down a little bit here in the pre-market. EKS, it's great to see you again. Good morning. Rooster, good morning. Cam, good morning. Ed, good morning. Go Steve D, good morning. Oh, Steve's trolling the Detroit group by saying go Cavs. Congratulations, Steve. Dirkus, good morning. Robot to Trade, good morning. Fake Beat, good morning. Mo Chillin, good morning. Bernhard, JJ, good morning. Captain Cloudy, it's good to see you. Mark, good morning. Jim, good morning. And Tyler, good morning. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get started with our stock market today. All right, futures are red ahead of Monday's open, but notably up off of the lows. We'll see if we have the strength to go green here or if we stay in the red direction today. S&P futures down by 0.19%, Dow futures down by 0.34%, and the NASDAQ futures down by 0.1%. Let's take a look at some cues from the last session here. Let's get the story all queued up. Materials, utilities, and consumer discretionary sectors suffered the heaviest losses on Friday as most S&P 500 groups ended in the red, while energy shares defied the downward trend to close higher. U.S. stock futures fell on Monday following Friday's sharp declines. This comes as a drone strike triggered a fire near the UAE's Barakah nuclear plant. UAE officials confirmed no radiation leak or injuries occurred, thankfully, and Reuters also reported that. Earlier this week, President Trump took to Truth Social and said that Iran must act, quote, fast, or there won't be anything left of them, end quote. Investors will keep an eye on NVDA earnings, ticker NVDA, as they are scheduled to be released after the market hours on Tuesday. Actually, I'll check. It might be Wednesday. Meanwhile, the 10-year Treasury bond yielded 4.08%, and the 2-year bond was at 4.6%. CME Group's Fed Watch tool projections show that the markets are pricing in a 99.2% likelihood that the Federal Reserve leaves the current interest rates unchanged during the June meeting. Now, I've got several stocks in focus for you right off the bat. The first one here is going to be Regeneron. The ticker on Regeneron is REGN. This is a big move for this company. It tumbled 11.92% in the pre-market on Monday after its phase 3 trials for metastatic melanoma did not achieve statistical significance. Yikes. UNH, United Health Group, is the next stock on our list. It declined 5.2% after Berkshire Hathaway, ticker BRK/A and BRK/B, under the new Greg Abel company, diluted its position in the company. So UNH sold by Berkshire. Strategy is the next stock on our list. The ticker on this one is MSTR, and it was down 2.89% after announcing on Friday that it will repurchase $1.5 billion of convertible debt and listed Bitcoin sales as a potential funding source. The next stock on our list is Next Energy. This is a little penny stock. The ticker is NXXT. And it surged 91.16% as its first quarter revenue increased 29% year over year to $21.1 million, while gross profit more than tripled. The last stock on our list is going to be ServiceNow, and the ticker is NOW. It was 3.5% higher after the company announced a multi-year global partnership with El-Erian, ticker EXPGF on the OTC, to expand AI-driven enterprise automation. All right, let's take a look at the SPY chart. Here we go. Now, we talked about the melt up last week. That's where we kind of stopped. We did pull back here on Friday, and you can see when you look at the daily chart here, the pullback was basically nothing. We basically just pulled back to where we started the day on Wednesday, and that's where we currently find ourselves today. So frankly, we'll see what happens here if this temporary waiver ends up kickstarting any upside momentum, or if we resume the pullback that we saw over the weekend and then in the early pre-market session here. If we continue to pull back, we are still targeting the same range that we were targeting last week. We were targeting this gap area between the Tuesday, May 5th and the Wednesday, May 6th candle. That gap area was 725 to 728. Well, lo and behold, today our 20-day moving average has now traded up to help catch and perhaps support that more. It's at 25.28 down there, 725 and a quarter. So I would suspect if we continue to pull back, this is probably our support area. Maybe we even fill the gap if things get nasty, but I would imagine that this is probably going to be our first area of support. On the upside, we would just look to see if the melt up continued, right? And then we have the all-time high that we put in on Thursday, May 14th. That value is 749.53. So I think we can just call that 750 as our next upside level. But this is what I have for the SPY. We'll see what we get here today. And then, of course, we'll see how NVIDIA changes the calculus later in the week. By the way, I wanted to quickly throw that up here. Here is the calendar, and I was correct. It is Wednesday after hours, not Tuesday. Apologize about that. But this is a quick look ahead at the week of earnings. And while there's not as many reports as there have been the last couple of weeks, there are still some pretty big ones on here. We talked obviously about the elephant in the room in NVIDIA, but it's also worth noting on Tuesday morning, we get Home Depot, and that would be an earnings report that might give us an idea of what the consumer looks like. We also have TTWO on Thursday afternoon. We have Walmart and Deere on Thursday morning. In addition to NVIDIA on Wednesday, we also have Intuit and Elf. So we have a lot of reports here this week. It's not, not as crazy as some of the previous weeks, but still a good amount there. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some insights from analysts here. Our friend Mohammed El-Erian has something for us. Mohammed El-Erian observes that the U.S. economy and financial markets are, quote, navigating an increasingly complex and divergent landscape, end quote. I don't think there's anybody that's going to have a harder job than Kevin Warsh, but that's another story. Although equity markets have largely brushed off recent bond volatility to focus on corporate earnings and AI, El-Erian highlights factors that threaten to undermine this impressive stock market surge. For the broader economy, persistent inflation and higher interest rates present severe challenges. He warns that, quote, the longer and larger the global inflation hit, the greater risk of demand destruction, end quote. Furthermore, the incoming leadership at the Federal Reserve face intensifying risks to economic growth amid a challenging macro climate. Regarding the stock market, El-Erian cautions that, quote, stocks could face cross-asset contamination from continued bond market volatility, end quote. He's seen in vulnerable economies. Moving forward, he stresses the importance of monitoring specific transmission channels, particularly the yield equity transmission. Investors must watch whether these structurally higher rates will finally begin to weigh more heavily on equity valuations and corporate credit spreads. Ultimately, El-Erian views these compounding macro headwinds as significant risks to sustained market and economic growth. So El-Erian basically saying what we already knew, right? Is the longer this continues, the higher the risk. And so that's definitely something we will keep our eye on. All right. Next, probably the big individual stock story of the weekend. I guess of the morning or of the day here today, but it's going to be this Regeneron move down. Now, we talked about this gapping down here this morning, Regeneron's still on the lows. Now, it is very, very light volume, so we'll see what happens when the market actually opens for the New York session and the volume flows in here. But trading lower here on low volume. Closed at 698.25 on Friday. It is 612.5 here in the pre-market. On Friday, Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, ticker REGN, reviewed results from the phase 3 trial evaluating 2 dose levels of fianlimab, a LAG-3 inhibitor, in combination with Libtayo for unresectable, locally advanced or metastatic melanoma. The trial did not reach statistical significance for the primary endpoint of improvement in progression-free survival compared to Merck's Keytruda monotherapy. High-dose fianlimab combination showed a numerically higher median progression-free survival of 11.5 months compared to 6.4 months on Keytruda, but failed statistically with a p-value of 0.0627. A low-dose combination showed a progression-free survival of 9.6 months with a p-value of 0.4661. No new safety signals were identified with the fianlimab combination. The randomized double-blind phase 3 trial is investigating the combination of fianlimab and semifiblimab versus pembrolizumab. Sorry about the names here. In patients 12 years of age or older with unresectable, locally advanced metastatic melanoma who have not received a previous systemic treatment for the advanced disease. Trial design and enrollment looked like this. The trial enrolled 1,546 patients to receive either 1,600 milligrams of fianlimab and 350 milligrams of semiplimab, or 400 milligrams of fianlimab and 350 milligrams of semiplimab, or 3, a placebo, and 200 milligrams of pembrolizumab, or placebo, and 350 milligrams of semiplimab. That was my tongue twister for the morning. In April, Telix Pharmaceuticals Limited, or ticker TLX, inked a significant collaboration announcement with Regeneron. The partnership aims to develop next-generation radiopharmaceutical therapies, which could enhance Telix's market position in precision oncology. The company leverages its expertise in radiopharmaceutical development and manufacturing capabilities while sharing commercialization costs and profits with Regeneron. Regeneron's price action, the shares were down 10.2% to 627 during the pre-market, but they've since moved lower to 612 here. That is according to Benzinga Pro. So I bring this all up because it's bad data. Can you repeat those again? You're funny, Cam. You're absolutely hilarious. Cam's got an open mic night at the Comedy Club coming up this weekend, folks. Anyway, this is interesting because it's definitely bad data. The stock is reacting here today. Will there be a bounce in this? Will there be a dead cat bounce? We've seen that in some of the other stocks that have put out bad news, whether it's drug trials or an earnings bounce. We actually saw that on Roblox when they came out with earnings. The thing got like a 25 haircut, but had a pretty decent dead cat bounce. So ticker REGN today, possible bounce, but bad data is the catalyst. Know what you're trading if you do end up taking that here today. Okay, now, NVIDIA earnings, right? This is going to be the big thing of the week. This analyst is wholeheartedly buying NVIDIA going into those earnings. NVIDIA Corporation, or ticker NVDA, remained at the center of investor attention on Monday as Wall Street's analysts focused on the China-related developments, upcoming earnings, artificial intelligence demand strength, and the chipmaker's dominant position in the global semiconductor ecosystem. Cantor Fitzgerald analyst CJ Muse reiterated an overweight rating and a $350 price forecast on NVIDIA while discussing the implications of President Trump's recent China visit. Speaking with CNBC on Friday, Muse said NVIDIA's larger opportunity extends beyond chip sales into China. He argued that expanding the company's CUDA software ecosystem within Chinese products could prove more strategically important over the long term. Ahead of NVIDIA's earnings report, Muse said he expects the company to deliver another beat and raise quarter. He also said NVIDIA could announce a major share repurchase program, which he believes could become a meaningful catalyst for the stock. Muse said compute demand remains sold out across the semiconductor industry, while Taiwan Semiconductor, ticker TSM, continues to represent a very key supply constraint. According to Muse, NVIDIA benefits from its dominant relationship with Taiwan Semiconductor, positioning the company favorably even as investors debate increasing competition across the AI chip market. He also noted that many long-only investors remain underweight in NVIDIA despite the stock's recent rally. Muse said NVIDIA still appears inexpensive relative to its expected earnings growth and called it, quote, the cheapest name, end quote, in his coverage universe based on forward earnings estimates. The analyst said Cantor Fitzgerald would, quote, wholeheartedly buy NVIDIA stock ahead of earnings, after earnings, and throughout 2026 and 2027. Investor sentiment improved after reports indicated the U.S. cleared several Chinese firms to purchase NVIDIA's H200 AI processors, reviving optimism surrounding potential China-related sales growth. Option traders also increased positioning ahead of NVIDIA's earnings release. Spot Gamma founder Brent Kokuba told CNBC on Friday that markets are attempting to reprice China reopening to NVIDIA. NVIDIA shares have rallied sharply in recent weeks as investors continue betting that AI infrastructure demand and geopolitical developments could support another phase of growth for the company. NVIDIA is scheduled to report quarterly earnings results on May 20th, which is Wednesday after the market closes. Wall Street expects 176 per share, which is up from 96 cents per share a year earlier. Revenue is projected to come in at $79.08 billion, compared with $44.06 billion in the prior year. The stock trades at about 46 times forward earnings, reflecting a premium valuation relative to its peers. The analyst consensus rating on NVIDIA remains a buy with an average price forecast of $286, and that is all according to recent Wall Street data. Now, some recent actions, some analyst actions. TD Cowen maintained a buy and raised its price forecast to $275. That took place on May 15th. UBS Group maintained a buy and raised its price forecast to $275. That was a day earlier on May 14th. The same day, RBC Capital Markets maintained an outperform and a $250 price target on NVIDIA. So you tell me, folks, what you think earlier. Why or what do you think NVIDIA is going to do? And when I ask that, I mean, what do you think the print is going to be? But also, how does the stock trade after the print? That will be key. Okay, next story here. This is across the pond, but could spread if you, I know we've got a lot of global folks here anyway. Ryanair says the Iran war won't trigger jet fuel shortages and airfare could actually fall. He was on CNBC earlier today. Ryanair Holdings PLC, the ticker is RYAAY, shared that it anticipates no jet fuel supply shortages despite the challenges presented by the ongoing Iran war. On Monday, the budget airline shared that supply chain uncertainty was receding as alternative sources to GCC oil producers, and that was according to a Reuters report. The report also said that the airline anticipates fare prices to fall, with prices from the months of April to June falling by mid-single-digit percentages. Ryanair expects July to September fares to be, quote, broadly flat, end quote. However, Ryanair cautioned that unit costs could still surge if jet fuel costs remained at current levels. According to data by the International Air Transport Association, or the IATA, the average jet fuel cost globally for the week that ended May 8th was $162.89 per barrel. Meanwhile, data from Airlines for America on Friday showed that the average jet fuel price in the U.S. was $3.90 a gallon. The airplane reported an after-tax profit of 2.26 billion euro or 2.63 billion USD, while also reporting a loss of 86 cents per share, which beat market expectations of a quarterly loss of 95 cents per share. Ryanair suspended profit guidance for the fiscal year 2027 amid a volatile environment. European countries have been grappling with shortages of jet fuel amid uncertainty over the Strait of Hormuz, with Dutch Lufthansa, ticker DLAKY, which is the largest flight operator in the European region, reportedly planning on retiring some aircraft early. Meanwhile, during April, Chevron, ticker CVX, CEO Mike Wirth had issued a warning saying that air travel costs could surge and flight availability may dwindle amid the ongoing war. Kevin Hassett, who is President Trump's director of White House National Economic Council, had also said that the Iran war could put pressure on airline profits. Budget airline Spirit Aviation Holdings, ticker FLYYQ, FLYYQ, faced rising fuel costs, among other issues, which led to the airline ceasing operations as creditors refused to support a government-backed $500 million rescue plan, with lawmakers like Senator Elizabeth Warren sharing that spiking fuel costs from the Iran war were the, quote, final nail in the coffin for the airline. So we'll see if this spreads at all or if this is kind of localized to some of the European carriers. Ryanair here, one of the discount carriers CEO, was on earlier saying that he is extremely glad that they are so well hedged out into 2027. They actually do not expect disruptions, but cannot say that about his industry peers. So again, we'll see how this all ends up shaking out here. Okay, Taiwan Semiconductor is next. I know we had the Trump-Xi summit, and Taiwan was a big talking point there. Taiwan Semiconductor, one of the crown jewels of the Taiwanese economy, and obviously its importance to AI cannot possibly be overstated. We talk about that here all the time. Taiwan Semiconductor is firing on all cylinders. Japan turns profitable, and Arizona earnings soar. So what's going on here with ticker TSM? Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, ticker TSM, remained in focus on Monday after its Japan and U.S. operations delivered sharply improved profitability, while the company accelerated global expansion plans to capture surging artificial intelligence-driven semiconductor demand. Taiwan Semiconductor's Japan subsidiary, Japan Advanced Semiconductor Manufacturing, or JASM, JASM, posted its first quarterly profit since beginning mass production at the end of 2024. The Kumamoto venture generated 951 million new Taiwan dollars in profit during the January to March quarter, and that was reported by the Taipei Times on Monday. That compared with a loss of 1.39 billion new Taiwan dollars in the prior quarter and a loss of 3.25 billion expands in Japan footprint. Uh-oh. Oh no, we had a freeze. Okay, so producer, I'm not sure where we left off there. It looks like the internet froze. My modem is still good. Everything looks still good here. So just an internet hiccup. Ryan has left the building. How long was I gone for, producer? I knew Ryan was AI. You guys are nice. Anyway, just 10 seconds. Okay, so it wasn't all that bad. Yeah, everything's been fine since they did their work. Anyway, sorry about the break it there. I'm just going to keep rolling through the story here. Taiwan Semiconductor recently revised plans for its second Japan fab. The company upgraded the project from 6 nanometer production to advanced 3 nanometer manufacturing in response to the accelerating global AI demand. In the U.S., Taiwan Semiconductor Arizona reported first quarter profit of 18.81 billion new Taiwan dollars. That was up from 11.37 billion new Taiwan dollars in the previous quarter and 496 million new Taiwan dollars a year earlier. Analysts said AI demand from major U.S. customers boosted the Arizona operation. The first Arizona fab started mass production in late 2024 using 4 nanometer technology, while the second fab is expected to begin commercial 3 nanometer production next year. At the company's annual technology symposium, Deputy Co-Chief Operating Officer Kevin Zhang said AI could help push global semiconductor revenue to 1.5 trillion by 2030 after surpassing 1 trillion earlier this year. Zhang said AI and high-performance computing could contribute about 55% of semiconductor revenue by 2030, overtaking smartphones as the industry's main growth driver. To support that demand, Vice President BZ Tian said Taiwan Semiconductor is ramping 2 nanometer production across 5 factories in Hsinchu and Kaohsiung, while expanding chip-on-wafer-on-substrate, or COWOS, advanced packaging capacity at a 90% compound annual growth rate through next year. Eye-popping numbers. Vice President Lipin Wan added that Taiwan Semiconductor improved COWOS yields to 98% and is developing larger packaging technologies capable of supporting up to 64 high bandwidth memory chips for future AI systems. The next major catalyst for the stock is expected to arrive with the company's July 16th earnings report. Analysts are expecting earnings of $3.66 per share. That's up from $2.47 per share a year earlier on revenue of $39.76 billion compared with $30.07 billion in the prior period. So expecting more profitability there. But we've talked about this quite a bit. Taiwan Semiconductor is without a doubt the thing behind the thing. Whether you like NVIDIA or AMD or Google or a combination thereof, really Taiwan Semiconductor is going to be the big bottleneck. The big bottleneck there. Okay. All right, let's go back to Pro here. Now, I know we normally roll no guest on Monday, but I got a special treat for you here today. We do have a guest for you here today. And I know that you folks out there, varying degrees of trading skill and all of that. And I know that there are a lot of you folks that want more education on options. And in fact, you want education that you can trust. Well, I've got good news for you here today. We have a guest for you on that. I am pleased to bring on the Senior Director of Client Education at the Options Institute, Stacey Gilbert. Let's go ahead and give a warm Benzinga pre-market playbook welcome to Stacey. Stacey, welcome. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. Nothing like a Monday morning with a few little tech glitches. So appreciate your patience and letting me be here today.
Oh, it is no problem. We look forward to having you back here. Here's the one thing you should know about our show, though. Technical glitches are like the sun coming up. We just know that they're going to happen. So we just get prepared and we roll through them like they didn't happen. That's
exactly. That is my mantra this morning. I'm like, all is well, all is well. This just happens. Time to move on, right?
True. Actually, about 5 minutes before you dropped on, apparently my internet had a temper tantrum and dropped, but we're back. We're ready to go now. Look, I can't thank you enough for joining us here. As I just said in my opener here, we have a vast array of people that join the show. And while all of them are interested in the stock market, not all of them have, let's call it, the skill set to effectively use options for their trading strategy. So I absolutely love that you're coming on here. I do have a couple of really quick questions for you. First of all, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your position at the Options Institute?
Absolutely. Appreciate the opportunity to. So I have been in the industry, please don't quote me on this, but coming up on 30 years. So I originally was a trader on the American Stock Exchange. So I was down there. You can picture it. Crazy jackets, hand signals, all the yelling and screaming. And as my mother would say, I picked up the language that was not really what she wanted to hear in the house. Ran the derivative education program for a number of years at Susquehanna International Group and started the derivative strategy team there. Was actually recruited over to become a portfolio manager of derivatives. So it was running a mutual fund that used listed derivatives and was a CIO of that organization as well. And then I'm past my 1 year anniversary. I joined Cboe's Options Institute. Thank you. A couple of just quick things about Cboe's Options Institute. It has been providing investor education for over 40 years. So longer than I've been in the business, but it actually is free education. And our real belief is options can be incredible tools to be incorporated into an investor's portfolio. But our job, at the Options Institute, is to help the decision-making process. It's okay if somebody says, I really want to learn more about options, starts to learn more and says, actually, I don't want to use options. That's okay. Our job is really to make people feel much more confident in making decisions that they think is appropriate for their investment objectives.
That's perfect. And one of the things that I've learned over my career, I like options, I like stock trading, but one of the things I've learned is that, hey, there's a time and a place to use options, right? Absolutely. So sometimes you're just not in the right spot to do that. So I think learning that is going to be paramount. Let me just dive right in here. With the macro calendar this week and the continued geopolitical uncertainty that we continue to hear about, How are investors using zero DTE options, which is 0 days to expiration options, in broad-based indices like the SPX, or to position around potential moves?
Oh, Ryan, I love the question. This is a conversation piece that we often have here at Cboe Global Markets, and it really is this continued growth in zero DTEs. And Ryan, as you described it, 0 days to expiration. And what we've seen since 2022, since both Tuesday and Thursday options were listed, there has been a tremendous increase in investor usage of zero DTEs. Part of this being it allows investors to really structure trades or structure exposures to exactly the type of event that they want. So as we think about this week and we think about a number of the macro events that are kind of under the surface here, investors are really saying, I think Monday could be the day or Tuesday could be the day, and using options in the S&P 500 index or the SPX to really express those views. So just a couple of fun facts around zero DTE, and I really want to give credit to Cboe's derivative market intelligence team, Mandy Zhu and team, who've done tremendous work on this. But what we've seen in terms of the growth of zero DTE options, specifically in SPX options, is, I mean, this is up sevenfold basically since
Mhm.
2020. Most of the trading, and I think this is what's incredibly important, and it shows how education has evolved over time. 95% of the trades that are done in zero DTE options in SPX are really, I'll say, risk defined. So it's either buying an option or trading a spread. And what we typically see with spread trading, particularly when it comes to retail, which is making up over 50% of the zero DTE SPX volume, it really is a defined risk. So they may be trading them through vertical spreads or condors, looking at the market saying, for example, looking at the VIX this morning and seeing what it's pricing, saying, that might be a little bit higher than I am expecting the move to be today, and selling spreads to capture premium, but defining that risk in case, as we well know, a tweet or a headline or something comes out that just dislocates the market. So this is a tremendous change that we've seen over the years with retail. It's really defining the risk exposure that they want so that, as we like to say, they can live to fight another day.
No, I got to say, those are tremendous stats that you just gave us. I'll be honest with you, I fit into them. Well, I don't trade SPX regularly recently. And when I say recently, I mean this year, I've started to add trading zero DTE SPY options to my daily trading strategy. So it's great to hear that I'm not alone on that. And I definitely fit into the cohort that you just had there. So that's fantastic. And as far as risk defined, we talk about that all the time, right? This is a great way to use options. Your risk can be defined ahead of time. That can really kind of help with the whole risk management plan that we're always battling with.
Absolutely.
Moving on here, just everything is AI. Okay. It's been in the spotlight for a while now. It doesn't seem like it's going away. In fact, it seems like it's increasing. Lately, we've had companies like AMD, Intel, and Micron on absolute fire, surface of the sun hot. What do you think about these moves? Do you think it's overhyped, or do you still think there's room to go? We've had a few notable earnings this week, like NVDA, Target, and Walmart. What do option markets imply, and how do investors use options to express these opinions?
Yeah, great questions. So first thing I would say, I'll just start with taking a step back of how do investors use options to express opinions. First, it's going to be, we break it down into three different areas. One is protection. And Ryan, what I think is really important here is protection can just mean an outcome that you want to avoid. So when we think of stocks like NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is a great example, obviously we have earnings this Wednesday. You can look at the options market, you can back out what the market is implying. And just for reference, the market is implying somewhere, we'll say between a 7 and an 8% move following earnings, which is fairly in line with what it's been. So there's not this extra risk being priced in, even as we're seeing these all-time highs. But when we look at this and we say, okay, what protection can investors sort of that what can they eliminate in terms of that outcome with the protection? It's two ways, right? There is buying of downside puts. Investors who have enjoyed this tremendous rally don't want to give up any of their gains and choosing to buy puts to protect that. But the other thing I think that's really important when we talk about protection, it can also be the underexposure. So maybe investors who were starting to do some profit taking, but don't want to actually lose that momentum or be underexposed if NVIDIA, in fact, does have solid earnings and does rally on these earnings, they're buying upside calls against this. So you're starting to see both in terms of reasons that options are used, protection being number one, second would be income, and third would be what we call the efficient exposure. So when we think about AI, income doesn't tend to be the greatest use of options. It tends to be looking for exposure, whether it's, again, eliminating unwanted outcomes through protection, or to your point, efficient exposure, using options, using the difference in cost to really create that risk reward that's different than just owning the stock outright. So those are definitely the three reasons. I would also just highlight, because I think it's really important since you mentioned it, Target and Walmart. Obviously, a lot of focus this week. There's continued concern around increase in oil prices here, increase in potential inflation, the impact that it could be having on retailers, obviously the rise in interest rate, what the Fed is going to do. There's so much underlying here that the direct impact to the retail consumer is really important. So what are Walmart, what are Target going to say? And both of those are implying around, we'll say around a 7% moves as well. So really, it could be a really interesting week as we get more data points out of these earnings cycles.
Okay, I have to throw you a really quick curveball here. It's baseball season, so bear with me. You just talked about the implied move on all of these, and I have learned of a long time ago. I think I actually can't remember. It might have been from Lawrence McMillan's book on options.
Oh, very nice.
I can't remember exactly where I got this, but I learned that if you want to figure out what the implied move is, you take the current or near-term month expiry. You add the call and the put together and multiply it by 0.8, and that gives you your implied. Am I close, or is that just a bunch of nonsense?
No, you're close. It's very theoretical. So I would say, so here's one thing that's really nice about zero DTE. So zero DTEs are going to tell you on a 1 day kind of what is that move. And so what you were highlighting there is the straddle. That's your call and your put, right? So that is, and what we think about it from a theoretical perspective is a straddle captures about 80% of expectations of a move. So that's, again, that's where your 0.8 is coming in there. So the one thing I should say, zero DTs don't typically exist on single stocks that are reporting earnings. Part of it being, and I don't want to go down a real rabbit hole here, but part of it being most and almost, I would say almost exclusively all single stock options are what we call physically settled. And with bigger moves after the close, there can be some uncertainty with settlement. And obviously, if you're getting shares called away or you're going to have to buy shares, that can just kind of change the dynamics of margin. Whereas, and you mentioned this SPY versus SPX. I'm going a little off topic here, but you you just opened it up and you gave me an opportunity to teach.
That's what I do.
The SPX options, the one thing I would highlight about them is that they actually are cash settled. So from a risk after expiration, cash settled European, the close is the close, whereas SPY options, because they are American settled, there can be some uncertainty post-close, just to keep in mind in terms of that potential margin requirement or potential call away of stock if there is significant moves after the close. But kind of going back to your original question of how do we come up with this move? You can look at options that are expiring around expiration, or you can get super, super nerdy and you can do basically a weighted variance. Not what most people want to look at. They're going to look at the straddle exactly as you said, and you're going to get, we'll just say, close enough for talking points.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, the multiple step figure. I'll ask Claude to do that for me. I won't bother doing that myself.
So many people publish it nowadays. It's out there. It's on the internet. You can get a sense of what it was compared to the past. And Ryan, you bring up a great point. This is what I actually think is most interesting about options. If someone were to come to me and say, "I think NVIDIA is going to move on earnings," I'd be like, so does the market, right? It's being priced into the options. Now, if somebody were to say, I think that moves 3%, well, there's an option strategy that's appropriate when the market is pricing in 7 to 8%. If they're saying, I think that move's going to be 12%, well, there's a different strategy that's appropriate for that expectation where you believe the market is underpricing the move. So when trading options, particularly around earnings, it's incredibly important to know what is already priced in.
Yeah, no question about that. And look, I am the son of two teachers, so I am a lifelong learner here. So any chance I get to ask an expert on how things are done, I'm going to take them. I appreciate you veering down the rabbit hole, as you said there. Lastly here, are there any other AI-related companies you want to put on an investor's radar? VIX index is approaching a much-watched level of 20. We've been watching that for a while. How do investors use the VIX index to gain market insights into investor expectations for potential moves?
Yeah, no, it's great. So AI is actually priced into the VIX in a very different way. So AI is priced into everything in the market right now, right? And AI, I mean how the companies are going to respond. It's not AI actually pricing the VIX index. I need to clarify that. So a couple things with the VIX index, you bring it up, and I think what's really interesting, and I think this is actually somewhat related to the AI trade, if you will, is there's this expectation that the VIX has to, when it's increasing, investors are getting more and more and more nervous. The reality is the investors are pricing in increased uncertainty. It's nervousness is not the wrong word, but uncertainty is definitely a better word. And the reason I mention this is part of the VIX increase is investors buying upside calls in S&P 500 index. So again, that is getting exposure. When we think about how the S&P 500 index is weighted, we can think about how tech heavy it is, how much exposure it has to AI, and this fear of being caught on the wrong side of the AI trade in its pricing of the broader based index. So yes, the VIX index is increasing both because of uncertainty geopolitically, but let's not forget that some of that price increase is buyers of upside calls who want to make sure that they're not caught on the wrong side of a potential rally, which, Ryan, to your point, I actually think has some underlyings, just kind of given the tightness of this market rally to the AI trade.
Okay. Absolutely phenomenal. Look, I'm going to ask you the easiest question last here. Where can folks go to learn more? This has been phenomenal.
Music to my ears. I love this. So we actually at the Options Institute have a portal. It's cboe.com/OILP, Options Institute Learning Portal. Love the opportunity to talk about this. It is a free portal. The beauty of it, there's a tremendous amount of education. Keep in mind, the Options Institute has been around for 40 years. If Ryan and I talk today about terms that are completely foreign to you, zero DTE, straddles, vertical spreads, you can go on there, create your free account, and you can just basically search any of the terms that you're really curious about. There will be articles, there will be videos, there will be interactive tools, and it will just help you, again, Ryan, as we started this, help you hopefully get to a point where you're feeling more comfortable to make the investment decisions that are going to align with your investment objectives.
Yeah, absolutely. Put that tool in your toolbox. You don't use a hammer for every job, but geez, when you need a hammer, you better hope it's in the toolbox. Options are the exact same thing there. Thank you so much for the time today, Stacey. I really appreciate this. This has been absolutely fantastic. I look forward to speaking with you in the future.
Thank you. I hope you have a great day. Take care.
We will, and I hope you do as well. Stacey Gilbert. Folks, really awesome interview there. Awesome guest too. Oh, look at this. I appreciate this. Big of Bees. Love today's guest. Theory behind options gets me going. Perfect. You know what? Perfect. Really, really awesome stuff here. This is how we kick off a Monday, folks. This is how we do it. Really good stuff. Okay, quick peek at the market here. Just pinching myself to make sure that I'm still in reality here. S&P futures ripping to the upside. S&P futures now up 0.25%. It looks like oil has taken another leg down here. Now, I didn't see any other news headline on that, but we are getting more movement here with that. So this is what it looks like. Here's what your intraday chart looks like. Here was the initial move higher. We talked about that. A little bit of a regression back to the mean, and now a move higher. S&P or SPY here in the green ahead of today's open. Okay. Okay. Awesome. I'm still fired up. That Stacey is awesome. I promise I will bring that guest back. I absolutely promise. Okay, really quick here. Matthew says, good morning. I'm hoping for some birthday luck. It's your birthday? Happy birthday, Matthew. Let's smash up the like for Matthew here and see if we can bring some more luck there. Okay. Glad you guys all like that. Okay, great. Let's see. How much time do we have? We're 11 minutes ahead of the hour. I have one more very quick news story here. It is Bloom Energy related, and it's kind of tied to the AI trade. So we're going to do that. We're going to do Street Tweet, and we should be absolutely perfect for pre-market pulse when 13 shows up here. So, okay, let's go ahead and take care of this. This is the last news story here of the day. And this again on Bloom Energy. So did you miss NVIDIA? I know it's NVIDIA earnings week. It's going to be that all week here. Did you miss NVIDIA? Tech analyst Beth Kindig calls Bloom Energy's tech's biggest outperformer after the 217% rally in 2026. Let's check out what's going here. Shares of Bloom Energy, ticker BE, have massively outperformed the traditional mega caps, making it this analyst's top pick as grind constraints turn power generation into the AI economy's most critical bottleneck. While the market is fixated on AI chip makers, Bloom Energy has quietly surged 217% year to date. Lead tech analyst Beth Kindig at IO Funds designated the firm as her top 2026 stock pick. Kindig noted that tech's biggest outperformer in April wasn't a software or a semiconductor company, but rather an energy stock solving the crucial time to power crisis. While Bloom Energy rose 29.05% month to date, NVIDIA was only up 13.3% in the same period. Quote, the real risk to the AI economy lies in the physical constraints of scaling these AI ambitions, end quote. And Kindig had explained that, pointing to immediate power availability rather than compute supply. And, this is just kind of an aside here. During my golf round yesterday, the two randos that I was partnered with, and I use that term endearingly, by the way, they both have an engineering background. And we were all kind of discussing what it was that we did. I told him that I was involved in stocks. He didn't even let me finish my sentence. He went to me, he goes, let me tell you something, man. He's like, I think energy is going to be a big thing for years to come. And I said, you know what? You're probably right about that. So again, just a little anecdote there, but from engineers, they're all looking at energy. Because Bloom Energy offers behind-the-meter solid oxide fuel cells, it helps data centers bypass long utility interconnection queues. With the AI market shifting towards inference, which demands power in dense metros, Kindig believes Bloom's unique positioning could drive a rare repeat year of strong returns. That's saying something considering how much it was up. Fueling the recent 109% one-month rally in Oracle's Project Jupiter, a massive AI data center campus. Oracle pivoted to a 100% Bloom solution to ensure reliable energy and to stand up their facility, quote, materially faster than any other available alternative, end quote. Financially, Bloom is breaking records. First quarter 2026 revenue reached $751.1 million. That was a massive 130.4% year-over-year increase that marks the strongest growth in the company's public history. Furthermore, adjusted EPS of 44 cents crushed the Wall Street estimates by over 242%. Now, institutional analysts are aggressively updating their models. RBC Capital reiterated an outperform and raised its price target to $335, citing grid constraints and time to power as major catalysts. UBS also maintained a buy rating and raised its target to 251. UBS noted that Bloom's technology perfectly aligns with a paradigm shift towards 800-volt DC architectures in data centers, which offers higher efficiency and lower costs. So again, we talked before 2026, we talked about energy being a huge theme in 2026. It does not look like that's going away. And this analyst here saying there's legs or more legs left here on Bloom Energy, ticker BE. Okay, producer, let's go ahead and do our street tweet segment. We've got 7 minutes until 13 shows up. We got everything. I knew we were going to have a busy day, but we got it all done. That's what we do around here. Street Tweets is right now. All right, the Trump-Xi summit is over. From what we're hearing, there's an expected visit by Xi to the United States happening later this fall. So we'll see what happens between now and then. But Kobisi letter here. giving us a recap of what took place. The White House announces multiple U.S.-China trade deals and developments following President Trump's meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The deals include China will address U.S. concerns regarding supply chain shortages related to rare earths and other critical minerals. China has approved an initial purchase of 200 American-made Boeing aircrafts for Chinese airliners. Remember, President Xi Jinping's private plane is in fact a Boeing. China will purchase at least $17 billion per year of U.S. agricultural products in 2026, 2027, and 2028. China has restored market access for U.S. beef by renewing expired listings of more than 400 U.S. beef facilities and adding new listings on top of that. And China has resumed imports of poultry from U.S. states determined by the USDA to be free of highly pathogenic avian influenza. President Xi will be visiting the White House this fall. So I know we talked about this being kind of a potential bigger meeting. Trump called up all of the big CEOs, had them come over there. Maybe, I don't even know if show of power is the right word, but potential deal-making summit. This is what we've got so far. I know there wasn't any big breakthrough on Iran or Taiwan. We'll see if we end up getting that coming through, but it was not a waste. And there were absolutely some things that were done there. So we'll see what takes place from here. Okay. That does it for Street Tweets. Let's get back to Benzinga Pro. We've got 4 minutes until 13 shows up, which means he'll probably be here a little bit sooner than that. We can go ahead and take a look at some tickers here. Let me just get a lay of the land here real quick. Oil, which was up several percent this morning, is now down almost 2%, down 1.78%. The VIX, which tapped a high of 1944 earlier, that's come back down a full point. Bitcoin, which we've often talked about as our risk on indicator, that was getting smashed this morning. That is trading up off the bottom. That did, by the way, kick its 80K level. We came down to 76.5-ish on the future. So Bitcoin curling up, market is trading up, oil's going down. Really, the only question here is, does this hold through Monday here, or do we get maybe a reversal? Even as Stacey said, our guest here, we're only one tweet away from crazy volatility in this market. Only one tweet away. Okay. Now, speaking of energy, Forsman, we'll talk about that here real quick. Chris here is, I don't know, maybe there was a previous comment. D is massive addition to NNE's balance sheet. Okay, so what's going on here? So if we start with ticker D, this is Dominion Energy. You'll notice the stock is up 14.35% here today. Dominion Energy shares are trading higher following reports suggesting that NextEra Energy is discussing a stock deal that would give the company a $66 billion valuation. So that's NNE, right? Nope, NEE. See? That's why we practice. NEE is ticker, ticker NEE is NextEra Energy. Here's what NextEra looks like. This was actually down a little bit on that. It did come back to about even, but it is still holding here in the red. So this is the energy deal that Chris is talking about. The big dramatic impact here is, in fact, on Dominion Energy. If anyone wants this, let me go ahead and bring up the Bloomberg story. I hope this is not behind a paywall. It is. Damn. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to bother linking that for you then. That's what you get, Bloomberg. You're going to put everything behind a paywall. We're not going to link it out there. Let's see what else. Here we go. Here's a little recap there from our team that's not behind a paywall. So that'll at least give you something there. Okay. It's Monday. It's 9 a.m. or thereabouts. That means it's pre-market pulse time. That means it's 13 time. Let's see how he's doing. All right, 13. Good morning. Happy Monday, boss. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. How are you? How's everybody in the chat? How was your weekend?
Dude, First of all, the weekend was great because I spent so much time outside and not in front of a computer screen, and that is great for my health. But 13, listen to this. My golf round yesterday, I was partnered up with two randoms. One of them hit a hole in one.
Oh, nice.
I saw a hole in one live. It was awesome. We threw clubs in the air, got free drinks, ran around the tee box like a bunch of idiots.
Par?
It was great.
What par?
It was a par 3, 151 yards over water. Dude stepped up there. Dude stepped up to the tee box and literally treated the water like female golf influencers treat their male fans. Completely ignored it, like it wasn't even there. And he just goes, drops onto the green, rolls over to the hole, disappears. We all lost it. It was awesome.
And he took a sip.
Took a sip?
He took a sip of whatever he was drinking.
Oh, he pounded what he was drinking. We won't even go there. Anyway, let's get back down to brass tacks here, 13. Was there anything that you wanted to review initially here, or did you want to just hit the movers? Where do you want to start?
I saw you were talking about SpaceX earlier. That's we looks like we got our or we're going to be getting our S4 pretty soon, or whatever the filing is. That's going to I think it's the S1 that still needs to come out. The S1, I think. But we're gonna if that happens soon, that means that we're still going to get a road show by June 4th, which I think is the plan. And remember, I put out June 4th as being significant because that was when they first did their Falcon 9 maiden launch. So that date has some significance. I think they're trying to line it up. And with the filing coming up pretty soon, you've got to think that this next launch that they have coming up tomorrow is going to be is a little making them a little bit nervous. They've got to stick this landing. Well, they're not going to catch it, but you know what I mean. They've got they've got to.
It's got to go well.
It's got to go well. It's got to at least clear the tower, maybe do some other things. But if we if they completes all the tasks that it's that this test flight is meant to do, I think that's going to generate a lot of excitement, and it's going to bode well for their IPO.
Okay.
But that's for now. And, you know, I think there was also a poll on like when you would buy this. And I'm just a little word of caution. There's going to be a 180-day lockup period. So if they do IPO in June, then it's going to be in December when that lockup period ends. And we will likely see a lot of selling by those longer term shareholders that had stock before the IPO. So just something to think about. That might be the better time to get in if the stock doesn't take off, because so many IPOs in the past have had a rough go of once they became public on the market. Some like Saudi Aramco went down 15%. Others also declined, but maybe this one will be different. Still, there's just that event coming up later that everybody should be aware about if they're still going to be taking positions in SpaceX.
Okay. Really good breakdown. I go to 13 for my space breakdown stuff. So, and then I bring 13 here to tell you folks so that you don't miss any of it. Chris here with a good question. Do we still not know how much, if any, of a stake that Tesla has in SpaceX, or is it just Elon that has the stake? Here's what I understand, Chris. As of recent filings, Tesla does have a small stake in SpaceX, but this is how it happened. It was indirectly because of its earlier investments in XAI. And remember, XAI was converted into SpaceX equity after the merger with SpaceX. So reports are that the stake is small, and we don't have that exact percentage that I think you're looking at, that I think you're looking for. I think that the estimates are that it's under 1%.
And SpaceX also did a 5-for-1 forward split. I think it was recently. But they did that, and they've also been trying to buy back. They've also been buying back shares from their employees. So that's also been happening. But anyway,
yeah. And Frozen King here saying Tesla has up to a 2% stake in SpaceX. I first of all, I think those stake numbers that are being estimated, those are close enough where they're basically the same. I think the key takeaway here is that yes, it does, but it's quite small. So. There you go. All right. Real good stuff. 13, let's hit the movers. What do you say?
Sure. Let's do it.
All right. What movers do you have from your list? I know GovX got talked about here quite a bit in the chat. But let's do whatever you have on your list. Let's do that in order.
I looked at SBFM and GovX, and then I was looking into Hive and HCAI, and I thought, you know what, we can probably just talk about those two. But the other two, the oncology ones, let's get through those, because these are like multiple 100% runners.
Okay, we'll start here. Sunshine Biopharma. The stock was 28 cents last Friday. All right, it's $1.80 now. It's up 533%. Factor that in to whatever you're thinking here. We've had a couple of big moves. Both of them were on volume. The second move, more volume, more amplitude of that move. That took us above 250, although we've backed off a little bit here. I didn't see any of the news here.
So what's actually happening with this? And I don't know if, what's going on with GovX, because I really couldn't find anything. But I think what's happening here with SBFM is they reported their quarterly earnings on I think it was Wednesday afternoon, or I'm sorry, no, there was an offering that they had on Tuesday after the market had closed. Then the next day they had their quarterly earnings. And those two events, I'm sorry if I have you go to the chart, it may be a pain in the ass to actually see the price action, but this caused a massive sell-off in Sunshine Biopharma, and it sold off like multiple days last week. I think this is the rebound off that selling. You'd have to look at a daily chart, unfortunately, and that's where it's going to be like that.
Oh, I got you. Well, you know what we can do? I see. So you were already okay. Here you go.
Yeah.
So here's the big move down, and now the bounce back, right?
That's exactly what I'm seeing happen here. So I think this is just a rebound. There wasn't really any news tied to this move. I think it's just the massive overselling was scanned, and it was attracted to traders, and they just started hitting this. The company does have some revenue and some cash, and based on their current cash burn runway, it looks like they've got more than a year before they'd have to raise capital again. Now, I don't know if they're going to need to fund some other clinical trial, or if there's something else in the pipeline they're going to want to get going. But at this current cash burn rate, they don't have a need to raise cash soon. Now, aside from that offering that I mentioned earlier, which has already affected the stock's price action. So as far as resistance goes to the upside here, now that we're coming back up to it, I have 210 and 250 as resistance. If we start to lose these levels again and head down, 150 and VWAP are my support levels that I see.
Okay, and excuse me, and I'm looking at this. I got a fair value gap here. Now, I will say that this candle down and the bounce candle, we got that at about 820, 825. These did touch the top end of it, but they did not trade into the gap. So I think you could still consider this an unmitigated fair value gap. Also, the bottom of the fair value gap lines up directly with the VWAP 13. So I think that the trade plan here, pretty straightforward. SBFM, the one thing I didn't do was talk about the short interest. 2.12% of the float shorted, 3.72 days to cover. There's some here. It's not big in either regard. The stock on average trades 85,000 shares. It's traded 233 million here today. Float is just under 5 million. SBFM.
Lynn, actually, no, it's not delayed till Friday, but I just checked, and they did delay it from Tuesday to Wednesday now. It is now set to launch on Wednesday.
Okay. ASTS, yeah, you guys are asking about some other ones. Let's go through the movers first, and then we can get to some of those other ones. All right, Robert? Next here we have GovX. Yeah. This is GeoVax Labs. You can see this stock actually spiked up towards 5 on the second impulse move. We've had 2 impulse moves, but we've kind of come back into VWAP here. Now, 13, you said you couldn't find anything on this one earlier.
Yeah.
It's probably from this 13G. That would be my guess. But I didn't go through any of this. Yeah, this looks like nearly a 10% aggregate amount. Yeah, this looks like a 10% stake via 13G. That's going to be my best guess. I'll use the AI tool to help me go through that when I have a little bit more time. What do you got?
It's interesting because that was on Friday and that was in the morning. So it's something that I would have expected to see more of on Friday. And It doesn't.
Yeah,
look
but
like
I
really
think with the
copy that.
13 Gs, you probably do those in order. I would imagine GovX is going to.
Oh no. No, did we lose them again? All right. That's the case. Verizon messing with his internet again, or Fios, or whoever they've got. All right. Let me just switch over here to my screen then. And we'll continue talking about markets. Okay. Just let me do that, and that. All right. So GovX. So let's say that it's the 13G, and that is what's causing this to move. Great. So if that's the case, this has 3.47 million shares in the float. The company has no revenue. So this is going to need some cash soon, because I looked at what they had in the bank, and it's a little more than $1 million, but they burn through much more than that every quarter. So this one, I think I would be careful with, because I don't know that they've filed to raise any capital through share issuance recently. I don't think that they did. But their cash position is concerning. So I think when it comes to this one, be a little bit careful. I did draw a trend line in this one here when I was looking at this, just to see what if we would hold above it or not. And that trend line looks something like this, because I was waiting to see if we'd actually hold the VWAP here and this trend line, and we didn't. Now we're losing the trend line, and we're starting to lose VWAP here. So that being said, my support levels are VWAP and the 260 level, which is going to be a little bit more down here, about where the 65 EMA is. And then resistance, if we do manage to recapture some of these levels and the trend line, I have resistance coming up at this 375 area here. It looked a little bit better on my broker chart, but that's where I would be looking at resistance. I guess on this chart here, it looks like 350 might be a better spot. So I would say between 350 and 375 for resistance. And that's GOVX. All right. Ryan needs a Starlink backup, maybe. Good time to mention that. We'll look at ASTS in a bit here. Just going to cover a couple more that I took a quick look at. That was HCAI. Kind of ran out of time looking at this one. This we've traded before. It's another China name. This is the Huashen, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, sorry if I'm not, AI Parking Management Technology Holding Company, Ltd, Limited. This has been trying to get above its VWAP all morning and has been getting rejected, but it looks like after this impulse move, we've kind of found some bottoming here, some sideways price action that indicates that this may be trying to push back up towards these highs it was at earlier. So as long as it holds this VWAP here, I saw some movement around here. We have Ryan back?
We are trying. We are trying. So
Trying, Ryan. Here we go.
So FYI 13, I got no message from Comcast before.
That's Comcast. Sorry, I blame Verizon. Sorry.
They messaged me this morning and they told me we're improving the network, but you should expect disruptions. No warning at all. Like last week, we were supposed to be done with this. And apparently they're not done with it. So in any case, I apologize for that. Thanks for covering here. Where did you leave off?
I was just talking about HCAI's chart and how it looks like we're going to need the price needs to come back up above VWAP if we're going to see the upside, and how we're getting some support here down at the 65 EMA. It's kind of going sideways as we approach the open, but I think VWAP's going to be the big spot we need to get back up to. I still have the 500-day in the way. I don't want that there. That's a simple moving average. Looks like 10 is also a bit of a resistance area too. So if we can clear 10, I think that kind of sets up the price action to go for VWAP again. Whether or not we get over VWAP, can't say. It's been a tough spot all morning since we lost it. But I'd watch for that recapture of 10. That could indicate that we're trying for VWAP next.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Do you have anything else on your list? I have no chat here, so I'm going to have to just restream real quick. But do you have another stock on your list that we can start breaking down while I do that?
I was looking at Hive before I came on.
Okay.
Just because I know that we've talked a lot about this. There's the whole I think crypto angle to this as well. So
320 megawatt AI gigafactory in Ontario. That's your news this morning for Hive.
That's interesting. They call it a gigafactory when it's only megawatts, but okay. Who's really?
That's a good point. That's literally what they said.
maybe they're scaling it. But anyway, so I didn't.
While you break this down, let me try and get my chat back.
Okay, so I didn't dive too much into this one, so I don't have financial reads for you here. We can kind of go through that right now. It looks like they're still losing money. They do have revenue. At this cash burn rate, be concerned about their cash position. Be careful of a possible capital raise coming, unless there's a private placement or something that's not going to affect the share structure. But with this announcement here, I wonder what Buzz HPC's cash position's like. Maybe that's the thing that we're not seeing, because the news is about a subsidiary of this company. So anyway, as far as the chart goes, it's been pretty much riding VWAP up this whole day, this whole morning, and that would be my my support area if we lose 360. Right now, it looks like 360 is the support level. If we lose that, VWAP's going to be next. And I guess we can even draw a trend line here on some of these highs and see if that gives us a bit of a target, a little bit of a steep target. So if we use the high from that impulse, took us up to, what is this, about 360 at 740, and then the current high of 385. From those 2 points, you can draw a trend line, and that gives us an upside target that we might end up getting to after we open. Oh, I didn't realize that I was by myself.
You're not by yourself. The Restream is so buggy. It is so effing buggy. Anyway, you're not by yourself. I'm back, 13. Okay. Let me share my screen. We should be good to go. We're going to fight through technical problems. It's what we do. It's just what we do. Here you go. Okay. Right. What do you want to do next?
I just dropped my share. Should I not have done that? But if you drop again, I'll just...
No, because you should have it ready. You should have it ready, because you can't rely on Comcast, clearly. It's ticker CMCA, by the way. Take that. All right.
Okay, there we go.
I can't help it. All right.
So
producers having a lot of fun right now.
So I didn't draw it, but here I'll draw the trend line. I forgot that I was had that capability. I didn't realize you were off screen, but there we go. That's the trend line I'm looking at here. If we once we open, maybe we do push up to that, and then we start selling. But that would be an upside target for us to watch for after we open.
Okay. All right. Next here is going to be ticker TE. I'm going to take the screen share back here, 13. Ticker TE. Right. Here's your news. The most recent news we have was actually from last Tuesday. Now, we did have earnings last Tuesday. We had a couple more re-ratings here that ended up driving this higher, but we have nothing fresh here on ticker TE, T1 Energy. The stock is up 19%. This is what it looks like intraday. So it actually popped above 7, came all the way back down to the 65 EMA. We've recaptured VWAP on the way back up. Sure seems like this 680 might provide some resistance there. Quick peek at the short interest on this, 27.26% of the float shorted, 2.85 days to cover. So high in terms of actual percent of float shorted, not technically high in terms of days to cover, but still notable short interest in there. 13, do you have anything here on ticker TE?
I would probably look at
a 13F.
I would probably, do they have a 13F?
Yeah, thank you, Jay. Leopold looks like the 13F there. I don't even have that in the news feed, Jay. Damn.
I mean, if it wasn't that, I would say look at solar and other solar names and see if they're also getting a lift this morning. This is in the solar space. So if there's something in that broader section of the market, then maybe that's what's driving it. But it seems like if it's a 13F, it showed up in a 13F, then that's likely what's driving this. There's also some high short interest, but it's not meeting our days to cover. Still, it's likely helping lift this up to where it went to. If there's more height coming, maybe on a breakout of $7, but. Oh,
Kathy,
okay.
Appreciate this. Last quarter, file quarterly holdings, Hive, TE, and Shaz. Those are your three movers moving on the Leopold 13F.
Okay. Well, there we go, and that helps us with Hive. Now, Shaz didn't see that moving here. Maybe it's further down the list. Looks like it might be.
You know what? This, I wonder if this didn't have. Yep. So this did not meet my volume threshold. That's why it's not on my list. It's only traded 255,000 shares here today. It also had earnings. So Q1 financials looks like 64 is the resistance here. That's on Shaz, SHAZ, Sharon AI.
Yep.
All right. You have a ticker that you want to take a look at. I think that does it for the movers. Did you have anything else?
It does, but folks wanted to take a look at ASTS.
Okay, let's do that. That's right. I'm going to go to the main chart here. I'm going to put up ASTS on a daily. I'm going to step away for just 1 sec, 13. So this will be a planned departure instead of the unplanned ones that are really annoying. Here's your ASTS chart. I'm curious to see what you think about this too. We're basically sitting right near the 50. What do you got here, ASTS?
Look at a 5 minute, and let's do this because I think this is going to come into play here. So you see that high from it's going to be on Thursday's high. Actually, we're going to start there.
Okay.
And we're going to draw a trend line through Friday's high, and we're just going to keep going. So from there you go. We just tried to peek above that. We just tried to peek above it, couldn't do it. So I think this trend line here is the line to watch for a breakout or rejection. Now I'm not going to try to determine what's going to happen with this. Maybe there's a breakout coming. I don't know exactly what the news is that's driving this. Maybe it's we're getting that halo effect with all the space names and the SpaceX IPO coming soon. So we're getting a lift on all the what's even the other space stocks looking like this morning. Are they kind of getting a lift? I thought I saw some other ones looking pretty good. So I think that we're kind of getting a sector lift here. They're looking like they're pretty good right now. So we'll just see what we end up getting out of the open. I would be watching to see if we could get a breakout above that. We're still above VWAP, so that's going to be the first area of support I'd be watching. Don't have a whole lot to add to that besides wait and see what we get. Let me go to my broker chart and see if there's anything else I noticed because I'm just going off of what Pro's giving me. Oops, TS. No. There we go. Yeah, I would stick with that. That's what I think got to happen. We got to break above that trend line. Now, if we do get above that trend line, that's going to become support. We're going to want to see that hold up. You saw earlier this morning, we did get that break over the trend line. We did start to get it looking like it was providing support, but we ended up losing it, and now we're trading under it. It's back to being resistance again. Need to see this continue to close above support after back testing it and then moving up and away. Didn't get that. That's what we need to see next. ASTS.
Okay.
The big upside now
ASTS,
is in,
good stuff.
The big upside now is in Redwire. It seems like it. Redwire is, that's one of my favorite ones. Wow, this thing is up to 1558 now. Woo. This thing is on fire, folks. Redwire on fire.
And look, this is didn't we talk about this breaking this recent high that was up here at 14 and a half-ish?
Mm-hmm.
We're above that now. We're already above the trend line. What do you have next here? 18 and a half?
Close. I'm looking at, I think there's going to be somewhere in the 17 handle that we're going to find some resistance. Maybe 1760, 1775, somewhere in there. That would be my next spot. And then, and then the 18 handle that you're talking about.
Okay.
Because it's getting a little extended now. We're at 73 RSI on the daily. Could still climb higher, but this is about how high it has typically gone on the daily chart, the RSI. So we're getting pretty close to where this thing could start to run into some problems and turn around. But we are trading above this other trend line that I've got here. I don't know that I necessarily want to have you draw it because it's kind of a wonky one. But we'll see if there's anything that comes out of this still. Those levels I gave, that's what I'd be watching for.
Okay, here you go. Retro saying thank you 13 for getting me into Redwire. Good stuff, 13. This has been a good one.
It's been
for us and the group.
And we got to make sure we also point out that Iridium, because Jay Rice has been riding that one up, and that was awesome. IRDM.
Lion thinks Redwire's going to 24, so you got some more room on some of these space stocks here. IRDM, this is definitely something to watch. By the way, I know we just kind of brought this back up here. This 45 break.
Yeah,
we'll see.
And one more to shout out. I mean, I this is silly because I was talking about this thing when it was like in the 20s. UFO, which has these names, all these space names in it, and then some. This thing just gone on a massive run over the past 18 months. So great to see that too. Space is definitely the place to be.
Space is the place. I can get on board with that. Okay. All right, we're good on time. We are 6 minutes ahead of the open. What else do you folks want to take a look at? NXXT, really? Isn't that the penny stock? Yeah, this is just the penny stock energy play. This is really what you guys want to look at?
Well, maybe there's something coming here. Maybe it's going to see $1 or something. It's up almost 90%. They just reported earnings.
20% short. The conference call's ongoing.
Mm-hmm. Maybe something's here. I don't know how great their financials are. Let's take a look. They don't have cash.
Yeah, good idea.
They have revenue, but they lose a lot of money. Gosh, I don't know.
So integrated ecosystem that combines solar energy generation, battery storage, and smart microgrids, wireless electric vehicles charging, and on-demand fuel delivery. So it's all of the things that we talk about, but you're saying the financials are terrible, huh?
It looks like they need cash. Just based on
probably why it's like this, yeah.
Based on the way that they burned through it, and they just reported earnings, on Friday, where they indicated a EPS beat, which means that they didn't lose as much as they normally do. So they're still losing money. Their revenue's increasing, but they're not profitable, and they're going to need cash at some point soon, it looks like.
Okay. Let's see. What else did we have here? NX AIPO from CAN. AIPO. The Defiance AI and Power Infrastructure ETF. So if you like the AI theme and you like the energy theme, this one's probably a pretty good one to take a look at. Does look like we're kind of there we go. I was going to say, what's going on with the chart there? Here's your daily chart. We're basically holding here near all-time highs. We're kind of chopping around above the 20. I would say as long as this can hold this, given the theme that it's in, theme me up. I think we probably go higher here.
This is cool. Okay, so the top 10 holdings of this are going to be Quanta Services, PWR, my beloved GE Vernova, GEV, Eaton Corporation, which is a massive bottleneck for data centers right now, given that they have a huge backlog they're involved in like power switches and panels and things of that nature. Vertiv Holdings, cooling, Bloom Energy's in there. Cameco, CCO is in there, and then you have all the chip names like Broadcom, NVIDIA. You have Constellation Energy in there and Mastech. So this is very much the AI and power infrastructure play, very much so. And look at this ASTS. Really, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay.
ASTS, right? Yeah, is making that move, trying to get above that trend line again.
There it is.
Now we got it.
There it is. Okay.
Go ahead.
The privacy guy says UFO is that space ETF. That's the one that you were talking about. Lion is talking about NASA. NASA.
Oh yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
Which is another space ETF. This is the newer. Team of Space Innovators.
Yeah, that one's newer. That came out not too long. There you go. Yeah. So that one came out not too long ago. UFO has been around for a little while longer. But yes, UFO and NASA, two that if you love the space theme, definitely take a look at. Those are two good ones.
Okay. SATs. Did we look at SATs yet?
No. But this is
this looks like another breakout coming here. EchoStar.
Well, here's the thing with this one. This actually owns SpaceX shares because they made a deal with SpaceX to you'll have to make sure that I get this right, if anybody in the chat, because I'm just going off memory. But they made a deal with SpaceX regarding frequency ranges, the spectrum for their Starlink systems. And as a result of that, instead of I think getting money, they got a lot of shares of SpaceX, and so they are now a big holder of SpaceX. So this is going to likely be one company that's going to probably end up selling on in December. But that's I think that's the reason why you're seeing this movement here and this getting a lift, because they are a holder of SpaceX shares, as is Google and Bank of America. Oh, and then Jay Rice also posted some information. I didn't see that. What did he post? Was there some other news that happened here? Looks like Carl, I can decrease their stake. That was on Friday. Did we lose? Oh, it looks like we lost Ryan again, I think. All right, let me go back to this then. Okay, so this is EchoStar, and we are open. Geez, missed this. Sorry, I was usually listening for his bell, and that didn't happen. So we are open. Let's actually go to ASTS, because that's taken off right now. Yeah, go to 5 minutes. This. We are breaking out of that trend line. Hallelujah. All right, so now that we've got this upside move here, what we want to see next, since it's already coming down, we want to see this trend line act as support. Keep the price up elevated here. So we don't want to go in beneath this level. Maybe it does trade down here a little bit and recapture it. That's fine. We just don't want to see it close under this. So let's see if we get that back test. And if we do, expect higher prints. Meanwhile, we have Hive went down to the VWAP and turned around. GOVX, that also leaked earlier and found some support down around 280. That's trying to recapture its VWAP. And then SBFM is halted to the upside after starting to trade up out of the gate here. We still have a resistance, this one at 210 and 250. This halted just before $2. Meanwhile, you guys were mentioning Vuzix. Yeah, look at Vuzi. Look at this go. This thing is up over almost 20% out of the gate here. I think this is going to halt, or it just slowed down. It looked like we were just stopping it for no reason, but it's still going. Let me see if I can find some news on Vuzix here. What do we have here with Vuzix? GOVX is moving as well. It's kind of going back and forth. We had a pop that almost took us up to the trend line that I drew earlier, but we didn't get there yet. Let's see here. So they had earnings on Thursday. I don't think that's what's causing it here. Friday, they had a corporate statement after hours, Form 8. There may be something in here that's causing it to go. I'm not going to read through that right now. But this is climbing higher. And let's take a look and see what we got here with Vuzix on a larger time frame. So there's a trend line. $4 is a level I've marked off here. We'll see if we end up getting that today. As you can see, that it kind of makes sense as to why I've got it marked off here, going all the way back to the stomp craze and prior to that, before COVID. So $4, next spot I'm looking for here on Vuzix. We'll see if we end up getting there today. We're only 33 cents away. GOVX is moving. That one. I had it on there. I guess I don't. Okay, let's go back to a 5 minute and see what we got here. All right, we're coming up to that trend line. See if we can get through it. This resistance I have I had 260 as I'm sorry, I had 375 as resistance. 260 was support. 375 resistance. I was also mentioning maybe 350. Looks like we just kind of blew right past that. We're beelining right for 375. Let's see what happens up there. And this current print is 370. Pretty close. Pretty close. SBNF halted. Yes, it is. It is halted. We should see an unhalt probably in a couple of minutes. While TE, this is T1 Energy, this dropped right out of the open, came down to the 65 EMA and is trying to turn around and climb back over the VWAP. I would think that if it does this, we're going to want to see a recapture of 690. That's the current high out of the open here. The high in the pre-market 711, but I think we're going to want to see this recapture and hold above 690. GOBX still going, coming back up here. It's right at 70, that 375 area, pushing through. So it said, never mind that 350 and 375. We want to go higher. Now let's see if we can hold higher. We still have 35 seconds left in this candle. We'll see what it ends up doing. Hive also getting a lift after testing the VWAP here. Still not back up to the 395 pre-market highs just before the open, but it is climbing. There is a seller in the way at 380. We're going to need to see a little bit more volume to get through that seller. All right. And Buzik's still climbing, 378 now. Still climbing. What a fantastic move that had. Redwire is falling. Looks like that was getting some good moves out of the open here, or toward the open. We did climb higher up to almost 16 before we dropped. Let's see if there's some support levels we can take a look at. Okay, so if this comes down to, I don't think we got quite there yet, but it looks like 1450 could be a support area. We'll see if that ends up happening. There's some other support levels to the downside beneath that, but 1450, that's going to be the first one we'll want to see hold up. GOBX still trying to climb higher as it deals with that 375 area. Certainly that is the resistance area I pointed out, and it is still being resistance now. Vuzi is still going hey bay. 381.5 is what I've got as the current high. Probably we'll see a little bit of pullback here before we try and push higher. It is getting some support from the 370s. We'll see if that holds up, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that. Meanwhile, RGTZ, the bear ETF for Rigetti, that's climbing over 12 now. Looks like Ryan's back. YSS is up 12%. That's York Space Systems, I believe it's called. Let me see here. YSS. York Space Systems certainly was the case. If this climbs, we're going to want to see this come up here to the 65 daily EMA at 28.45. Not sure if we'll get up there today. That's probably a little bit more of a big ask from this company, but we'll see if it gets up there. QBTS down almost 5%. I would think that given that RGTZ is up and QBTS is down, seeing some other of the quantum names down, that whole sector right now is down. So I think that's why you're seeing weakness there in QBTS. It might not even be directly QBTS down. It's just the sector today. All right, so Hive kind of sideways. GOVX still trying to push higher. It is slightly over that 375. Next resistance area I have, if we get through 420, 425 is the next resistance area I've got. ASTS trying to push back up, trying to get to 90. NVIDIA dropping ahead of their earnings, which is later this week. And that is going to be on Wednesday after the close. Ryan's trying to come back. He has not flipped his desk yet. And there we go with GOVX trying to hit that $4 area. We just tested 413. It looks like 410. I think is the high I have. So not quite 413, but getting up there to that next resistance area. Here we go. 420, 425. Seller on the way at 420. Through. And seeing the resistance. All right. SBMF halted again. Yes, it is. So we came out of the halt, jumped up over 2, and then went into another upside halt, now at 223. That is what happened. TE, is that turning around finally? Yeah, kind of. Still haven't broken through the pre-market high. That's 711. We only got as high as 703. But we are currently above VWAP Let's see if we can hold above VWAP.
Okay, 13.
All right.
I hate Comcast so much. There's no company that I hate more than this. It absolutely sucks. I'm so sorry, folks, for all of it. But let me flip over to my main workspace.
That's okay. We were just looking at a whole bunch of fantastic things. I just realized I still had NVIDIA backup. I'm sorry, folks. It's I still have that mental block about me looking at my broker and thinking that everybody's already looking at Ryan's screen. I got to keep making sure that I go back over to my pro screen.
Well, it would be great if I just didn't drop, and then we could just do it like we normally do. That would be really fantastic. That'd be really and Ken, you're actually right. Like, honestly, like starting to think that a Starlink subscription on the side is not a bad idea. Comcast is just not reliable at all.
RGTZ is okay. So RGTZ is just taking off right now. The quantum names are getting hammered. Vuzix also coming back in. SBMF, we had a halt out of the gate, and now we're in another halt after unhalting from the previous one. GOVX climbed up to a secondary resistance area around 425. We currently are facing resistance right there, but this is not collapsed yet. Hive, Hive is trying to hold VWAP. TE just recaptured VWAP. Still needs to clear the pre-market high of 711. And ASTS is just going all over the place, back and forth. We just hit a high of 89.96. We're trying to come back up to that, and it fell right beneath VWAP, and we're losing altitude now. Meanwhile, Rigetti just continues to climb. There's some news here.
You're right about RGTZ, man. That thing just absolutely crazy.
Mm-hmm. Let's see what's going on here. Looks like there's several pieces of news coming out here. Drug company spurned by Supreme Court on price negotiation law. I don't think that's what's causing this move.
On which one?
Well, this says I'm just looking at some headlines that are coming through, on SPY.
So we talked about Regeneron earlier. This got sold off on data. It is bouncing, however, so it's starting to curl back up. I don't know if it's going to have more in it or not.
Vuzix maybe getting some support. It came down towards its VWAP, trying to find some support here. We'll see if it holds. ASTS looks like some base names are just really starting to come in right now. What's Bitcoin at? Bitcoin lost 77K. Our risk on, risk off indicator showing weakness. Looks like there's some selling going into these NVIDIA earnings, which is going to be on Wednesday after hours.
Sorry, 13. I'm trying to figure out another issue that I've had. Just all tech issues for me here today. That's all it is, man. I apologize for battling here.
It's okay. Oh, yeah, is about to hit $1. Cerberus is trying to recapture 300. This was trading as low as 271.95 this morning. And now we've, out of the gate, we've tried to pop up almost to 300. We came up to 299 before it turned around. So 300 is still a resistance level for Cerberus.
Do you think this turns around soon, or do you think we might have like multiple days of waiting for this to bottom?
I think we just got to watch and see what happens at 300, because that looks like the spot to me. If we recapture 300, we're going higher. If we get rejected, of course, we're going lower. That's just the way I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I think you're right.
If you look at Friday, that was just kind of like, where the stock was having the most trouble, So I think 300 is the big spot we have to watch for. Looks like Vuzix is coming back up, trying to recapture the 381.5 high that it made this morning.
Looks like Ondas is pulling here. Buying another company here valued at $199 million in stock. Terms not disclosed. I'll go through this when I have a little bit more time, Zach and Joe, and I'll let you know what I think about this. Obviously haven't looked into it at all. And with my internet not being reliable, we'll wait until I can get some more information on that.
RGTZ hit 1274. It looks like it's slowed down. And GovX is trying to take off. There's a seller in the way at 390. A little bit more volume, and we can just blast right through him as well, him or her. And it looks like SBFM unhalted, popped up a little bit higher, and then started selling.
Downside, yep.
Now it's halted again. Yep. Hive is trying to just put in a slightly higher regular session high. Still not above the pre-market high, which is 395. We still have that trend line that we want to see tested here. We've just been kind of trading sideways out of the open so far today while holding above VWAP.
Tesla straight down. We'll see if that holds 400. Tesla pulled all the way to 411. Ondas pulling all the way to 10. This is a lot. This is a senior Iranian source to Reuters. This is just now. U.S. has shown flexibility in ongoing discussions, including over limits to Iran's nuclear work. So positive there, but the market not responding to it. We've pulled out of the open here. S&P futures, by the way, pulled to VWAP and have tried to bounce from VWAP. We'll see if that continues here.
Hive still trying to push higher. ASTS may have found some support at 84. We'll see if it can turn around. And RGTZ almost at $13. Still haven't seen a resolution higher from Vuzix yet, but it looks like this is trying to flag to go higher.
By the way, really quick, Poet, this is actually at $15 lows. We talked about this one last week. I actually read you what one of my professional trading buddies is doing in order to short this. His target was 10 from that short from the after hours high of 25-ish. Poet continuing to roll lower here now.
Hive has finally climbed out of that regular session consolidation it's been in all morning, and now it's trying to climb higher. Still not higher than the pre-market highs, but I think this is a good sign that we're climbing out of this consolidation. We need to see some more volume, though. We need to, if we're going to end up getting to that trend line. And yes, that nuke facility was hit on Sunday. That's right.
No leaks, no injuries, apparently, from that facility. Retro saying, I started a UPS position down here, 94.5. What's the time horizon on that? That's a longer term one, right? So Google, so this popped out of the gate. There was some 13F stuff on this as well.
Yeah, what did they pick up?
Yeah, I don't have all of the notes on the different changes from all of this. Longer hold plus the dividend. Okay, that makes sense, Retro. Sorry, 13?
So here's the top 10 holdings for Google, one of which they also just added a bunch of. CME Group, ticker CME. They also added Planet Labs, ASTS, Freshworks, ARM Holdings, UiPath, GitLab, and Revolution Medicines. Those are their top holdings.
So I was just seeing if there's any more news. The market is trying to bounce. So the way this looks is that the S&P futures basically bounced off VWAP. Now SPY, on the other hand, is still trying to recapture VWAP. So remember, futures drive the bus here. SPY, I think this is right at it. So technically SPY has recaptured VWAP here. We'll see if this ends up going. But this bounce actually looks all right. No position for me is because I'm not rolling the dice with the internet the way it is. Ondas bouncing, Tesla bouncing. So some of the individual Velo bouncing. So some of the individual names that we're pulling with the market also bouncing with this bounce here.
So BlackBerry, we've been talking about this recently, and how this is going to likely be one of the big names in robotics on the software side. They have a couple of conferences they're going to be attending and participating in. One's later this week, actually, on the 21st. That's going to be the CIBC Technology and Innovation Conference in Toronto, Canada. And then they also are going to be at the Baird 2026 Global Consumer Technology and Services Conference in New York City from on Tuesday, June 2nd. So those two events coming up, we might get some more information out of BlackBerry on that. But this is one that we've talked a lot about with their QNX software being a platform for robotics.
Good stuff on BlackBerry here. That's at highs. Market bounce is continuing, and oil is rolling over a little bit more now. So oil down 1.75%. We'll see if that sets some new lows here. Jay here mentioning that you're seeing a few laggards getting bought while the big winners are being sold. That makes a lot of sense to me. That SPY bounce looking like it's going to try and continue. Another pop higher here. We're actually above the 9 EMA in SPY.
Yeah, I'm just going to cycle.
Amazon at the highs, Netflix at the highs. Sorry, 13.
I'm just going to cycle through some of the movers we were talking about. ASTS trying to reclaim the 65 EMA right now. TE just moved through the VWAP. It's got a big seller at 690. We're going to need to see some large volume to get through that seller. Hive, it popped up out of that consolidation. It's come right back into it right now. So we're going to want to see some of these smaller EMAs and the VWAP hold up. GovX still kind of going back and forth, a little sideways right now. Hasn't been able to clear that 425 high, but it is getting some support from the 375 area that was previously resistance. SBMF, waiting for this to unhalt. Might happen soon.
Yep. Waiting for SBMF to unhalt here. Bounce is continuing in SPY. This actually looks pretty good. The volume is actually the highest intraday that it's been right now on SPY as well.
Vuzix still with a little bit of a bull pennant here, waiting for this to resolve higher.
Redwire gave everything back. That's trying to bounce. TE up near the highs. We talked about that one earlier.
Looks like Cerebras still has tough resistance at the 300 area. Bitcoin trying to establish a bottom from today's price action. Found support down around 76,800. Trying to turn around and recapture 77,000.
Big move here in SPY. Grats to anyone on those 0 DTEs. And remember, we had Stacey on this morning. She said that the SPX 0 DTEs have had a like 700% increase in trading volume. Just massive numbers there. Huge move here in the SPY off this bounce.
Hive trying to come back up and put in some new highs, trying to beat the pre-market highs. TE new session highs. I don't think we're almost at higher than the pre-market highs. I think we just are shy by 2 cents. So that could see a move over the pre-market high.
A lot of the stuff is bouncing here. Chris took Tesla long 414.5. Chris, what's your target on the Tesla trade?
Big turnaround ASTS, trying to recapture VWAP right now.
Yeah, I think this is turning around here with the market 13. This is a big time bounce. A big pull on SBFM indeed. That's open now. That's going to rehalt 179 to the downside off that huge pull. Good mention, Kath.
Yeah, RGTZ now with a big reversal. It's getting support from VWAP, but this is indicating that Rigetti is climbing back up.
Yep, and it's doing it with the entire market. This bounce is still going 13. It is like a straight bounce higher here. Looking for Tesla 425. Wow, that'd be a hell of a trade there, Chris.
Let's see what we got here.
Amazon day high is looking like it's going to try for 270. Palo Alto day high is 244.
It's a pretty nice reversal candle from getting support from the 737, 738 area. Looks like we're getting a little bit of a pullback here on that upward price action.
SPY is still up there, but I do see some individual names. Tesla slowing down. Ondas pulled a little bit. Yeah, you're right on that.
AIIO is still hasn't made new highs above the pre-market, but it is just having a massive candle right now.
Five looks to be the resistance on that one.
5, yeah, yep. Cerberus also popped. That's coming up to challenge 300 again.
We'll see if that gets above 300 on Cerberus. That bounce in SPY is still going. S&P futures back to its daily pivot here. Also the pre-market highs.
It's a nice reversal in NVDA there on the 5-minute. Okay, so because we missed it, Sunshine Biopharma unhalted, gapped beneath the VWAP, and went into another downside halt. Now it's pretty much halted at the open.
Yikes.
Very nice, turnaround here with Bitcoin. That recaptured 77,000. We'll see if it can climb higher.
Canarp asking about AMAT. This to me looks like it's just down with the broader market pull. Looks like AMAT just hasn't bounced all that much yet. Morgan Stanley did downgrade it. Equal weight, 502 price target. Now the price target's still 80 points higher than where we're at, but I think that's your reason for the movement, Canarp. Moving with the market, also had a downgrade or a price target adjustment.
Like Vuzix. I mean, I think if you're trading
That's
this,
Vuzi, right?
I mean, there's a lot of sellers between here and $4, but if it gets a good influx of volume, we could get through that and resolve this bull pennant that it's created. Looks like GovX is trying to test that 425 area again. See if it can get through it or get the volume to get through it. It has a pre-market high of 492. Don't know if we'll see that price. There's a lot of sellers in the way between here and basically $5.
We talked about 4 being the resistance area for this. It's trying to move through it right now.
Yeah, I was looking at 375 and 420 to 425 as the resistance levels, and we blew right through 375, and then it took a little bit of time to get up to 425. And when we came back down, 475 provided some resistance. So now we're going to want to see this, blast right through 425. That would be ideal.
All right, let's get it. Let's get it. SOXS. This is on the scanner now. Okay, so this might try and go. It would be interesting to see if we pull back here. So S&P, so we talked about the futures there, went right to the daily pivot, right to the pre-market high, and stopped right there.
Be careful with TE. Careful with TE. This is double topped. It looks like this could come down to the 65 EMA. It's almost there, and then end up going through it. Support's going to be at 620 beneath the 65 EMA, and then after that, $6 even. This doesn't look great to me. I think this could come into that $6 area. Looks like NVIDIA's tested VWAP and is starting to sell again. Vuzix got rejected, pushed down to the VWAP. Looks like all the names that were getting a bounce are now getting a reversal. GovX right to the 425 area again, and continuing to get some resistance. Tough morning here.
The SPY bounce, probably one of the best trades there. I guess maybe Netflix if you were trading this one, but that SPY bounce was big. Captain Cloudy saying somehow can't trust this bounce today. You know what's interesting about that, Captain Cloudy? Despite the ferocity of the bounce, my 0 DTE signal didn't trigger on this SPY bounce.
That should have kept your hands in your pocket.
It did. Well, that plus the internet, I was not even close to making it. That's why I don't even feel bad about missing this.
No, I think that 0 DTE indication.
Cerberus, 300
great.
pop.
Oh, we got it.
You got it. 302 now. That thing at the highs.
Look at that move through 300.
Well, I'll tell you what, that happened fast too. That went up to that 299, backed down to 294, and then in an instant went through that 300.
Yep. Now 307 to 309 might be your resistance area in the short term here. So we could see an initial rejection there, and it pulls the stock price back down a bit. But subsequent attempts to get above that area might have more luck. Jeez. So all the things that were just getting pulled again down to some support areas, they're turning around.
And Cerberus just lost 300. That was just a really quick attempt to move through that. I don't think we're done with that yet.
Yeah.
Joe says, what ingredient in your buy signal soup would make it not trigger on this particular bounce? That's what I'm thinking about right now, Joe. Initially, most of the time, it's that first 15 minutes, right? We get that big move 15 minutes in. The indicator itself is programmed to sit on hands for 15 minutes. But this one came afterwards, and I'm not quite sure. We had a move through the 9 EMA. We had a move through the VWAP. We had the good volume there. So I'm not sure why it didn't trigger. It just, to me, it seemed notable because a lot of the times with these bounces, it catches it early on. That's a good question, though, Joe.
Be careful with Hive. This just put in what could be considered some upper shadows that may indicate that this is rolling over here. It doesn't look like it's really started selling off yet, but I think we're getting some indication that this is weakening. And there's also a lot of sellers above 385 that are just stacking up. So we're going to need to see some big volume to get through all this, and it's looking like that it may not get that. So be careful with Hive. We got Rigetti about to hit $13. I'm sorry, RGTZ, the inverse Rigetti.
Eagle saying SpaceX split 5-for-1 on May 4th. It should make a more attractive at IPO.
Yeah, it's to lower the prices. Yep. Here's another rejection at that 420, 425 area for GOVX. It's not completely selling off, but it's currently facing selling pressure up in that area.
Cerberus making another move for 300. See if it gets back above it. The Cerberus move above 300 feels like the GovX move above 4, right? Like it peaked, tried to pull. We'll see if it has enough juice to go higher here. The S&P, so the futures stopped right at that pivot we were talking about and backed off of it. On the SPY, we're back down at VWAP. We're doing our best to hold it.
GOVX
is still lower by 1.25%. Sorry, GOVX got it?
Yeah, it was trying to it made slightly higher highs, trying to push through that 425 area, but still having trouble with sellers.
Stock is up 235% today.
Vuzix,
SPY lost VWAP. Sorry, keep going. 13.
Vuzix getting rejected has now lost the VWAP. So this has some more potential downside here because that recapturing VWAP is going to require a little bit more volume than what we're getting, and this is looking like it's weak. So be careful there with that. An RGTZ over $13 now. GOVX still struggling with that 425 area. Hive looking weaker. Good morning, Chicago Realtor. Oh, wow. Okay, so GOVX getting rejected here. It's falling through VWAP, might go into a downside halt.
Chicago Realtor, did you enjoy the Chicago summer weather this weekend? I would imagine that you did.
GOVX is in a downside halt.
TZA, this is your direction, small cap bear. This actually looks like this might try and go higher here if the sell-off resumes. S&P continues to pull through its VWAP as we just lost it.
SBMF, this is the halt fest of the day, and it is not looking great at the moment. Maybe there's some support coming out of this halt that takes it down to maybe just underneath $1 and then rebounds. That would be a guess. Certainly seen stuff like that happen before. So that's what I'd be looking at here for SBMF. I think we can still go lower, but we should see some support be sniffed out of this next halt. I think we do see some, some bottoming action out of this halt here. We'll see. TE trying to recapture VWAP. Hive down to its VWAP.
Chicago Realtor says, no, I'm in San Diego, so stuff your Chicago weather. Well, oh, darn then. Matthew says, I went swimming in my pool for the first time this weekend in Chicago. Let's go.
Oh, nice.
Let's go. Open that baby up.
I hit the pool this weekend, too. It was nice. I spent out some time outside this weekend as well.
It was awesome. Now, by the way, despite the market coming back here, now no chill. This at day highs now on the recapture of 102 now, ticker NOW.
Want to look at Watt? Matthew wants to look at Watt. This thing really selling this morning.
Yeah, a lot of these smaller caps all doing the same thing. Like I think about Velo, which is in the 3D printing in the space theme. I think about Ondas in the drone theme, Watt in the battery theme. All of these small caps here, all of them lower on the day here today.
Now, one thing that you want to put out there is an idea, because I picked some of this up. I picked a bit of this up. I think it was last year. Hold on a second. Let me just get the correct ticker first. Okay, so the SpaceX IPO is going to be on the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ is actually a we have a stock for that. It's NDAQ. I think this could continue to climb, and with that SpaceX IPO, we might even see this go a lot higher.
They bring, I think her name is Adina Friedman. I believe that's the CEO. Let me check the actual insiders here. They bring her on CNBC all of the time. And every time she comes on, Adina Friedman, chair, let me get her title, chair and CEO. Every time she comes on, the reason I'm bringing this up is because every time she comes on, she talks about the IPO pipeline being really good for the NASDAQ. I think you're bringing up a really good point here. SpaceX is just one of them. Obviously, we just had Cerberus, but there are going to be more. This actually might not be a bad swing for 2026.
Oh, this swing for 2026, for me, this is a long-term hold. This is
okay, there you go.
Buy on weakness and you just hold it. Yeah, because this thing is just, depending on your time frame that you're looking at, it's pretty much gone up. Just it'll have some pullbacks here and there, some weak periods, but it just continues to go up.
Market is trying to bounce here again. By the way, here's your monthly chart for NDAC, and you're absolutely right. You give it enough time, this is what happens.
TE coming back up to challenge those highs it's been putting in this morning, trying to get over 7. No closes above 7 yet.
How did UNH do after that got liquidated by Berkshire? Okay, so this is coming back. So this was lower in the pre-market, almost back to unchanged at 393. That's actually pretty interesting.
Hive lost its VWAP. It's trying to recapture it right now, but those upper shadows were telling you about this coming weakness here, and this is looking pretty weak. If we can't recapture the VWAP here, I think this comes down to the 330s where that 65 EMA is and tries to find support there.
Cerberus sub 300. The market is trying to bounce again here too. We're actually above VWAP now on SPY.
Let's go Roblox. Is that actually getting a lift today?
What's it doing? Yeah, I'll bring it up.
It's up 9%.
It's up 9%. We must have had news here on Roblox.
Did we? Or is it just software's getting a lift?
I don't have any fresh news here.
Looks like.
Oh, you know what? This is going to be on
Yeah.
some of the on
Search
some
right
of
now.
the filings. Yeah.
Looks like they.
Value Act Capital. Looks like they increased, right?
I think that's a decrease. These look like decreases, but I might be wrong about that. I thought these are all decreases that they're
Yeah.
talking about.
No, you're right.
Decreased Amazon,
Yeah, no,
BlackRock,
you're right.
Disney, Liberty Live, Live Nation, Meta, MongoDB, Roblox. They got all these great companies and then Roblox. Rocket Companies, Simpson Manufacturing, all decreased. Now, I would understand why they would want to sell Roblox, but
You guys are talking about IGV.
yeah, the software ETF.
Yep. Yep. I don't think I've charted it though. I don't think I've looked at it here. A lot of Uber puts just crossed the wire right there.
BB Bull Flag Daily. Let's look. This thing is just having a morning right now. It looks like it may be a little bit more like a cup with handle. We just haven't seen the handle yet because we still need to. I think we need it. Let's see what happens when we get up to 660, because that's the recent high from May 8th. Friday, May 8th was 661. Let's see what happens up there. If we blast through it, then it's going to be a scallop. But if we get resistance there and we start to sell a little bit, I think we'd be looking at more of a cup with handle. Hopefully not a double top. That's why I want to see what happens at 661. Sorry.
You know, it's interesting here, 13. I have bullish call flow on BlackBerry. 5 unusual transactions today. The biggest one, they bought 6,200 contracts and spent about $500,000 on that. So there's bullish option flow on BlackBerry today too.
I'm here for it. It's just we are getting a little extended here with this again. And the last time we did get extended, this thing was at 90 RSI, and it topped out just under 6 and came back in down to find support at 5 before we launched higher. So I'm just keeping an eye on the RSI. We could maybe get a little bit more elevation in this. Maybe we do get the scallop and it comes right through through the 661 high and goes to 7 and then finally backs off. Maybe that's what happens. But I think watching the RSI is something you should be doing if you're trading this.
Cerberus again looks like it might try and make another move at 300. We'll see. Joe, this is interesting here. Joe saying, Ryan, you think maybe the UNH sell-off was an overreaction? I do, which Joe said that. Plus, there's news of United expanding its AI staff, which probably means upcoming firings, which, of course, the market's going to love. So, Joe, I would also say, remember back to last week, we spoke to Sydney Armani, who's involved in pretty much the entire AI field there. And one of the things that he said, it was look for AI to really make a meaningful impact in healthcare and some of the related companies. And I suspect that the market is kind of thinking about that too. And I think healthcare has a huge gap in terms of like how much better it can be with the application of AI. I don't necessarily know how it's all going to shake out, but I'm not terribly shocked to see this get bought back. I actually thought this might make a pretty good dead cat bounce here. It started bouncing in the pre-market. It didn't even wait for that to for the market to open.
So it's one of the things we were talking about last week, and we were mentioning some of the medical device companies. So Abbott and Medtronics too.
MDT,
yep. Any other companies that anyone can think of that specializes in medical imaging? Whether they have like AI, they're planning on making AI, MRIs, that kind of thing. So I can see a lot of different applications when it comes to servicing health insurance services, medical imaging, medical devices, things of that nature. Real quick here,
They get the highs.
SBFM, we got
Yep.
the unhalt. We went lower and we found some support a little bit higher than I was expecting, but we did turn around here. So here is some of that price action. We did get that green candle. We're up to the 65 EMA. I don't know that we're necessarily going to be recovering here, but if we do climb past the 65 EMA, the next resistance that I would be watching for is going to be at about 150 to 155. Looks like a lot of these names are trying to turn around as well. ASTS trying to climb back up to the open. GOBX trying to also, it's recapturing the VWAP. SBMF, just as I was finished talking about it, opened.
Oh, no, resumed. Excuse me. Sorry.
And we're right up to that spot where I said we could see some resistance. We're getting it so far, but it looks like we're defeating those sellers at the moment. And if we do get above 160, there's a gap to fill. So we'll see if we end up getting all of that. But volume does need to be better.
I like this here. G-Man, thank you. Ryan, SPY's going to test for the third time the 740.96. If it passes it, the market will be going up. The next resistance would be 742.43. Well, guess what, G-Man? Looks like it got rejected right there at 741. I'm just going to call it 741 just because that's easier. But 740.96, look at that. Looks like rejected again. That was right up here when you were saying that, this last candle. So lower we go.
Like Barry's still climbing.
Matthew saying FIG is going to be a banger in the long term. You know, that was the thought around IPO, if you recall. We had talked about all the different companies that use Figma, including us here at Benzinga. It took a long time for this to really kind of shake out some of the weekends and put in a bottom. But man, oh man, it's been great since that earnings report. And again, the CEO was very, very, let's call it enthusiastic ahead of that earnings report. That thing popped nicely and has continued.
This is the second. Well, we have one close above the 50-day SMA on FIG, and this candle today, depending on how it closes, could end up being an engulfing bullish candle that takes us higher. There's going to be resistance. It looks like up at around somewhere between 26 and 27. Maybe we do get a little bit at around 25, but I would say 26 to $27 is where you're going to see some of that real big resistance begin to kick in. Very large resistance area at 32.
Tesla, by the way, Chris, are you still out there? Tesla has bounced just nicely from your 414.5. I think you said 425 was your target. Tesla, nice bounce.
Yes, Joe, that does trade only OTC, SIEGY.
Looking around here.
We are in another upside halt here with SBFM. I would think that the next time we open, we're going to get that our question answered of whether or not it can get back above VWAP. I think that's going to be the next spot to test here for resistance. More
flurry of hive calls on this little pullback here.
Oh yeah, hive calls.
Talking about that all day. Forsman says yes. Okay, 423.55 is the new target there. Okay. Going to hold for a bigger run than that. 425 was my initial target. Okay.
Looks like Hive is still having trouble. I don't know what are these calls for with Hive? This looks like it's still going to come down to.
These are the 5 calls that expire January 21st, 2028. They were repeat hit at that. Lots of them.
I don't know when that's going to really make a difference. These are leaps.
Yep. They're just repeat buys.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to make it. May not make a whole lot of a difference today. This looks like it's still going to come down to the 65 EMA.
So I mean, it has continued to sink into the call buying that we're seeing. So
yeah,
got that right.
Yep.
Ondas coughed up 10. That continues to move lower, minus 6%.
And then it just made a new session low.
Hive, you mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Continuing there. And the market, sorry, the SPY can't get above that 741 level that we were talked about, or 740 and change. What do you got?
I was just going to repeat the question from Cyril. How high can Hive go after their Canada data center? Well, this is just what plans to, build it, or their subsidiary is planning on building it. So there's nothing there yet. They probably don't even have the money. I don't know what Buzz HPC's cash position's like, or if they've got the money, just go ahead and start that. If they need to work out deals with equipment and manufacturers and construction companies, I don't know how far along they are, but it could be a while. It could be a very long while, and that's probably why you're seeing those leaps get bought.
Poet, more new lows into a 14 handle.
ASTS giving up some levels here.
UiPath at the highs. That's got earnings in 10 days. That's an AI name. Hive continuing to pull 350 now.
Wow. Yeah, smash the like, folks. That came up in a big way for me. Well, looks like those short ETFs have been the pretty good play this morning, because every time
RGTZ was the one that you were on earlier, right? That one ripped.
Yeah, but it's been going, kind of sideways right now, and it looks like it might end up weakening. We'll see if it can hold the VWAP and the 1235 area. I think those are the next two support areas. And I keep, referencing RGTZ as like, oh, it's got this support and that support. It's just going off of what Rigetti's doing. Focus on Rigetti. It's gonna tell you what RGTZ will do.
Yep.
Yeah, Hive continuing lower, about to make a new session low. Still think it goes to that 65 EMA.
Regeneron no bounce after its pull. SPY trying again for that 740 and change target that G-Man gave us. Let's call it 741. We'll see if we get above it here. My indicator did flash a couple of signals to buy long 0 DTE SPY calls here. I'm not going to take them with my internet troubles. Plus, I don't just really trust it right up here at that resistance level, but we'll see if that ends up being correct.
Yeah, retro. It probably will, because that's one of the things I'm waiting for, is for a meaningful pullback to, somewhere in the 15 handle. I think we're going to find some support there. We could end up filling that gap completely and then turning around. But that's what I'd be waiting for with Bello, because I'm mostly out of this now, but I would like to get some more shares again at a lower price, and I think somewhere in the 15 handle I might get that. So that's what I'm waiting for.
Also, we had a trend line here which is basically where we popped to on that earnings print. That trend line is going to be about 1675 for a possible back test.
Yeah, my whole thing with this was getting to 20, and we got that.
And it did that. Yeah, it did that on the earnings.
So now we're getting
one actually.
Well, yeah, I mean, it almost went to 22. I think we got 2160. So we got pretty close there. But at this stage, I'm waiting for a pullback to add more shares at a lower price, because I still like the stock. Disney high a day.
I was going to say, what else we got going on here? 8 minutes left. Sorry about all the tech issues, but maybe I'm not even going to say that. I'm just going to jinx myself. I'm just going to knock on wood. That's all I'm going to do. If you haven't voted it, thank you, producer. If you haven't voted in the poll, please do so. You just reminded me to do that. I'll do it right now.
Comcast had a recent death cross.
Okay, I bet it did.
I thought it'd be funny. It looks like to me that this is going to go under 24. And if it does climb higher, 26 is resistance. So that's kind of your channel right now, is 24 to 26. whichever one, whichever side gets broken first, that's probably the direction it goes. All right, Hive lower prints kind of getting walked down right now. His upper shadows did not lie.
Lynn says, producer, I can't vote. There's no category for not buying any CapEx. Really quickly about some of these polls too, our writer Chris Catchy incorporates some of these into some of the stories. So your folks, the fact that you're voting in these, very helpful and actually goes into some of the stories. I screwed it up. AIIO surging here. So we actually are above the pre-market and also above Friday's highs. We did have that impulse move from Thursday up to a 9 handle.
So $6, if you look at a daily chart back in December, this was like a supply zone. So maybe a little tougher to get through, but if it does, then I have a little bit more freedom to the upside towards 8. So I think that's what we need to see happen here. If it can get through the 6 handle and reach 7 and get through 7, I think we see 8. AMPX, how's that been doing? AMPX down today. This thing had a nice run up to 20, almost 23, coming back in. It's been losing some levels. I think I would see support under 15. It looks like 1460 to 1475 might be a spot, but I think it could still end up going lower. I think the better support is going to be down around the 200-day SMA, if not somewhere in the 13 handle. Still looks like there's some more downside coming in AMPX, but it's approaching some support. Okay. Looks like Rigetti still trying to climb higher. RGTZ still trying to climb higher. Looks like it wants to recapture the $13 level. 1306 is the current high. Hive continues lower, almost to that 65 EMA. SBFM, I don't know which halt this is, but it's been continuing the halt. Popped up, almost filled the gap intraday. Couldn't do it. Found some resistance at 171, where some of the lows from the pre-market was. Got rejected. Back down at the 65 EMA. We'll see if it gets support there.
That is the 7th halt, by the way, for SBFM. 7th halt.
Looks like Hive is trying to get a lift here. There's still 3.5 minutes left in this candle. So not sure if this is going to end up being a reversal or if it's just going to go lower. Looks like there's some rebounds happening here across some of these names.
Micron is continuing to pull. This looks like it might be on its way to 700. Lion, I think you said earlier you might buy Micron. So I think wondering whether or not this is a big enough of a pullback. Maybe 680. I feel like someone gave a spot of 680 last week.
I thought his spot was like much lower. I could have sworn somebody had mentioned that they were going to be getting into Micron, but much lower from here.
I could have sworn he said he was looking at buying it today. Maybe I misread that.
Okay. We'll find out if he responds. But this looks like we still need to come in some more, like under 700. All right, so Hive, there it is, almost down to that 65 EMA. There it is. ASTS losing its 200, trying to get support from that. TE still getting rejected by the VWAP. It's been above and below this thing all day, but after several rejections at the $7 area, I'm starting to have a little less faith that this is going to actually be able to get back up to 7. And be careful of the double top there. Disney still going.
Actually, I haven't even looked at Disney yet today. That is trading up today.
It is clearing the 20-day SMA. There's going to be some there's be a resistance level coming at somewhere around 107, I would say. But then you also have the 200-day SMA at 108.77. So it looks like you still have like $3 or $4 to go before you run into some really tough resistance. That 20-day SMA was the big level to get over, in my opinion.
AIM penny stock, that's at the highs. VRAX, another penny stock. It looks like the penny stocks are trading higher there. More Hive calls coming in there. These are the same January 21st, 2028 expiry 5 calls, just varying lots. Those look like sweeps to me on Hive.
Yeah, if we it looks like we're getting a little bit of volume here, but I don't know if it's enough to chew through all the sellers. If we do continue to get volume expansion, there's probably a trade coming in Hive. I don't know that it's going to recapture its VWAP, but it's currently down at near the 65 EMA, looking for some support. So if you're looking for a trade, maybe there's something there, but the volume needs to be better. ASTS still trying to hold above the 200 EMA.
All right, 13, we are out of time here today. Really good stuff, and I can't thank you enough. I would think eventually that the Comcast issues are going to be over, but in the meantime, I appreciate you really helping out. Any closing words for the group here?
Well, folks, we're going to have days like this sometimes where things just don't always work out, or they don't have enough volume, or whatever the case is. But as long as we're keeping ourselves protected and trading what we can and preserving our capital, we can just come right back here and do it again tomorrow. And that's what my plan is, and that's what I hope y'all's is too. So until then, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.
Okay, and remember, folks, as far as the show this week, it's only going to be today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. 13, the producer, and I, all on vacation starting on Thursday. We're going to have replay content played on the channel, and we will be back the following week. Folks, have a great rest of your Monday. Stay green, stay safe, stay focused. We'll